stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, roll call has been taken.
Yes.
Move on to the adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion? Motion been made by Mr. Besaw,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Barrington. Any additions or corrections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Line item 3, approval of October 12th, 2021, and special meeting October 14th, 2021 minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion been made by Zog, seconded by Mr. Herder for the approval of the October 12th, 2021, and special meeting October 14th, 2021 minutes. Any additions or corrections to that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Authorization to pay the bills. Mr. Dorsey.
Your Honor, I make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $625,277.80.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Dorsey, seconded by Mr. Herder to pay the bills in the amount of $625,277.80. Any additions or corrections to that? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried, 9-0. Being 7 o'clock, or 7:03, we'll call the public hearing to order. The 2022 city budget. Any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment on 2022 city budget? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Moving on to public comment. Anybody have public comment? No public comment? Zipping right along to vacancy in District 2. Filling the vacant seat by appointment until the spring 2022 election. Description of the process. Clerk, will you present that?
Sure. So we have 4 candidates that have submitted a letter of interest in filling the vacancy until the spring election. They will be called upon to answer 4 questions that they've been provided prior to the meeting and to answer them. The order in which they will speak will be a random drawing. Each of their names have been placed on a piece of paper, and the mayor will draw those to determine the order in which they will speak. After they have all spoken, and if there are any additional questions from the council, they can ask them. After they have answered those questions, the council members will vote. You have all been provided pieces of paper with your name on them, and the 4 candidates for the appointment's name on the piece of paper. You will select who you are voting for, and I will gather those. There does need to be a majority, so if one of the 4 candidates receives 5 votes, then they will be determined the winner. If there is not a candidate that has 5 votes, they will remove the candidate with the lowest number of votes, and then we will vote again until there is a majority. In the event of a tie, the mayor will break the tie.
The only thing I have to add to that, candidates, is the council members have the 4 questions that will be asked. So each one of them will ask. Once you're done with that answer, then the next one will ask the second question, and so on. All right. Everybody understand? Introduction of persons interested in District 2 position. Thomas Schoonover, Angela Hacker. She has accepted a new commitment and withdraw her letter of intent. Isaiah Bastian, Belinda Croy, and John Hass. All right, we will proceed with the statement by those persons, questions from council members. I'll draw the first name. Belinda Croy. Would you please come up and you'll be our first to present. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fred, would you start us off with the first question?
Sure, you bet, Mr. Mayor. Belinda, thanks for coming tonight. Just tell us about yourself and why you're interested in serving the council.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Belinda Croy. Before answering these questions and telling you a little bit about me, I want to take a quick minute and thank the council for providing the opportunity for all of us to introduce ourselves to you and each other. It's actually quite exciting to see the amount of interest in the District 2 alderperson position, so thank you. So some of you already know who I am. Some of you may be wondering how you know me, and some of you may be wondering who on earth I am and why you don't know anything about me. Well, I'm Belinda. I am a mother of 3 adult children and 7 grandchildren, 9 if you count the 2 that I've claimed. I moved to New London just over 30 years ago as a young mom looking for a community where I could raise my children and that provided good employment opportunities. I obviously found what I was looking for because 30 years later, I am still here. For those of you wondering how you might know me, you have probably seen me out and about on my daily walk around New London. And if you're still not sure who I am, I'm the ponytailed, uniform-wearing, package-bearing, jaywalking, puppy pile dodging chick who gives you your bills despite your insistence that I keep them. So now you might recognize me. I am New London's only female city, meaning I wear a uniform, letter carrier. I have spent 17 years as your mail lady. I've been in a unique position to witness the heart and soul of New London on a surprisingly profound level. Ultimately, it is my passion for community service that has brought me here tonight.
Thank you, Belinda. Now we can start off with Mr. Zog.
Or number 2.
Read your first question.
Yeah, one more time.
Or-
Because you made a statement, correct? You didn't answer his question?
No, I did answer.
Perfect, then we're on to number 2.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
Steve Grote.
What is your vision that you see for the city of New London?
New London is an amazing community that provides so many things that we can celebrate within the city. We have a solid manufacturing workforce, multifaceted healthcare systems, impressive public services, quality public works, beautiful and meaningful parks, a variety of recreation opportunities with culture and diversity abounding. My vision for New London is to actually build on what we are already doing well and promoting who we are, while also identifying those areas that need some room for improvement. For example, real quick example, downtown parking seems to be an issue for New London. We could use a youth rec center. We have a lot of opportunities available to our youth, but I think a gathering center where they can hang out and just do what youth do in a more structured way would be great. Providing practical products and services to New London, an additional grocery store would be nice, a place where we can buy some shoes, some clothing, and gift items, just those additional quality products that will give New London a little bit better bang for our buck here.
Thank you, Ms. Croy. Mr. Roberts.
Question I have is, the city provides a number of services for its residents. Do you have any concerns about these services on their quality, quantity, cost, efficiency, or delivery?
My concerns for the services that New London offers really aren't concerns. When you think about it, even Olympic athletes recognize the opportunity for improvement. New London has been, and I believe will continue to be, dedicated to providing support for the services provided to its residents while offering empowerment to those who have chosen to serve the community in these varying capacities, as volunteers or employees alike. So my concerns aren't really concerns, but more of making sure that we are continuing to provide the support systems that those services need.
Thank you, Ms. Cray. Mr. Herter?
Linda, could you tell us what makes you uniquely qualified for the position?
Okay. While I mentioned that I moved to New London over 30 years ago, what I haven't yet told you about me is that prior to moving to New London, I was an EMT, intermediate level, and a volunteer firefighter, Mod 2, in Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin. While my employment and family life in New London precluded me from continuing this path, my heart is still dedicated to quality public services and educating personnel. Prior to becoming the mailman lady, I worked in manufacturing for nearly a decade here in New London. So I understand the lifestyle and demands and the needs of our community laborers, those people who are our family, friends, and neighbors. My education includes a degree in business management with an emphasis in sales and marketing. I have found these skill sets to be valuable in all of my work experiences and my volunteer endeavors. As a letter carrier, not only have I provided trusted quality services to my customers, I have also spent over a decade as an elected representative for Wisconsin's over 5,000 letter carriers, where we focus our commitment on serving Wisconsin's over 5 million residents. This has given me insights and expertise in how to serve a diverse, challenging, and ever-changing industry while maintaining dedication to the constituents we serve. And what you will get from me will be a full-on dedication to the constituents I represent and a dedication to the greater good of New London. Those of you who know me know that I'm a little bit of a workaholic, and I will take that work ethic and bring that straight into this position.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Croy, and thank you for taking the steps to joining council.
Thank you. Any other questions for me? So thank you for your time and consideration in my interest for the District 2 alderperson position.
Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Move on to the next. Isaiah Bastian. And we will start out with your brief statement. Or would you like to start with the questions?
We'll start with the questions.
Perfect. Mr. Zog?
Well, Isaiah, tell us about yourself and why you're interested in serving in the Common Council.
Hello, my name is Isaiah Bastian. I'm a fourth-generation member of the community here. My parents are Lisa and Kurt Bastian. I have 4 siblings, and I'm currently employed at Familiar Grounds Coffee Shop. You can see me there doing a variety of different things. My main job there is as the event coordinator and marketing manager, as well as doing the deliveries. You'll see me making drinks as well as making food back there in the kitchen. So it's kind of a variety of things I've done there. As well, I am a Chamber of Commerce ambassador for Familiar Grounds, attending monthly chamber meetings and chamber networking meetings, as well as I run my own business, Genesis Media, providing solutions, marketing solutions for local businesses. And I've also been a member of the Civil Air Patrol, which is the auxiliary of the United States Air Force for about 6 years, and a cadet lieutenant colonel in that as a volunteer. My interest in serving on the council really stems from my belief in the importance of local government, and being local government, being the closest to the people that they serve, I believe there's a big obligation you have to hearing out the people, what they think, and being close to them is what I really think is important, and why I want to serve, to be able to serve the people of the community in my district and the whole town.
Thank you, Mr. Bashan.
What vision do you see for the city of New London?
Have being a fourth generation member of the community, my family has been here for a while, and I really would like to see New London, the vision for that, to be as a place that I can continue to grow my family here once I take that step into the future. Being employed here and living here my whole life almost, except for maybe a year or two where we were either traveling or I lived in Houston for a year. But I've spent a good majority of my life here, and I'd like to continue to do that and continue to grow the community in ways that will promote business and promote the marketing of the community to outside businesses as well as outside families to move in.
The city provides a number of services for its residents. Do you have any concerns about these services on their quality, quantity, cost, efficiency of delivery?
I believe New London has some great services. Some of them I would participate as a young kid, whether it's the Park and Recs department. The Haunted Trail is a big one that I like going on. And I know there's a lot of services that do, as well as jobs and volunteer opportunities past that. But I look forward to, if I were to be as a council member, to get to know these services better so you can better see which ones are serving the community the best and the people the best, and continue to see which ones we can continue to do, as well as promote new ones, while also remaining fiscally conservative in the ways that we do these, while best serving the community.
Thank you.
Yeah, Zaya, what makes you uniquely qualified for the position?
I believe my interest in the community and promoting the community has been a big part of what I've been trying to do, especially recently since graduating high school. Whether that's getting out into the community with events with the coffee shop, joining as a chamber ambassador, attending the city council meeting last month for the Economic Development Committee, a part of that. Getting out into the community and improving it has been a big part of what I would like to do. And not just within the community, I believe my experience prior in Civil Air Patrol has led me to a lot of stuff. I like to say when I joined Civil Air Patrol, I was a 12-year-old homeschooled kid who could barely speak in front of a group of like 3 people. And it's obviously progressed for myself, even just sitting here, and kind of has been something that I have propelled in from, like I said, barely being able to speak in front of 3 people to teaching a class in front of 100 people. And it's really taught me the importance of leadership and why strong leaders are needed. Just as a definition, my favorite definition for leadership is the Air Force definition, which is the art and science of influencing and directing people to accomplish the assigned mission. And that is more like a technical breakdown of leadership. As well as that, I've learned the importance of servant leadership, which is what I believe really is needed on a council of this sort. And servant leadership on the council won't look like me going to every house in my district or every house in the town and being their servant, per se, which is kind of just a misleading part of the term servant leadership. But it would be every decision I would make on the council would go to best serve the people of the community and their best interest, as well as what I think would be best for the community in general.
Thank you, Mr. Bashan. Any closing statements? Any other questions? Well, thank you for your intent on District 2, and good luck.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas Schoonover. Sir, would you like to start with a statement, or lead right into the questions?
I guess my statement was drawn up on the 4 questions anyway,
Perfect.
so might as well just get into it.
Mr. Zog, you're up.
Okay, Tom, welcome. Tell us about yourself and why,
Of operation, an motion was made by Zog and seconded by Ritchie to recommend to council approval of the sewage fund budget as presented. here so I can read it. Hold on. Where did I leave off there, buddy? All right. There's a resolution to approve borrowing was discussed. Dorsey Zog to recommend to council approval of the resolution to authorize borrowing, carried 9-1. Richie and Roberts moved to adjourn, carried 10-0. There being no further business, the Budget Committee of the Whole adjourned at 5:59. There will be a capital projects meeting on November 3rd, 2021, immediately following the Finance and Personnel meeting. The public hearing on the budget will be held on Tuesday, November 9th at the City Council meeting. After the public hearing, the budget ordinance will be considered for adoption. So I bring to you approval for the 2022 health insurance contract with WEA Trust.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Dorsey, seconded by Mr. Barrington for approval of the 2022 health insurance contract with WEA Trust. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried by all.
Make a motion to approval of a general fund tax levy of $3,845,200.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Dorsey, seconded by Mr. Ritchie for approval of the fund tax levy of $3,845,200. Any additions or corrections, conversation? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried 10-0.
Look for approval of debt service levy of $933,959.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Dorsey. I didn't catch the second.
Is it Besaw?
John.
Fouché?
Mr. Fichet, to approval of the debt service levy of $933,959. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. And motion carried by all.
For approval of the ER-TID fund budget as presented.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded by Mr. Herder to approval of the ER-TID fund budget as presented. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried 10-0.
For approval of the wheel tax fund budget.
Motion been made and seconded by Mr. Ritchie. Approval of the wheel tax fund budget. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried 9-1.
For approval of the sewer fund budget.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded by who?
Me.
Mr. Zog. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Red, can you vote, please?
Or maybe confirm?
Motion carried 10-0.
Look for approval of the resolution to authorize borrowing in the amount of $50,000.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded by Mr. Ritchie for approval of the resolution to authorize the borrowing of the amount of $50,000. Any further discussion? Mr. Zog.
Mr. Mayor, can I introduce an amendment to that resolution?
What do you have
Yeah.
for discussion? Yeah.
Through the discussion of the amount here in the past meetings, the finance director suggested she felt comfortable with 100,000 as opposed to 50,000. It was voted down, and then there was another vote for 50,000. It passed. I'd like to amend it to make it 100,000 because our finance director advised that she would feel more comfortable with 100,000.
Second.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Fisher seconded that?
Yes.
There's been a motion and a
Yes.
second to amend the approval of a resolution for authorizing borrowing in the amount of $50,000 to $100,000.
Correct.
Any further discussion?
Mayor Mark, Judy, how does that affect what we just did with the general fund budget, the levy?
I was kind of waiting to see where things went, and then we'll have, what we will probably end up doing is, I know you talked about a special council meeting yet this month. We would probably have to go into that special council meeting with some, changes in, number one, the resolution of the general fund tax levy, the debt service levy, and then the 2022 budget authorization that's coming up.
Because they're all tied together.
Any further questions or comments? All right, we are prepared to vote on approval of the resolution to authorize borrowing in the amount of $100,000 as an amendment.
You want to wait
Mr.
one
Dorsey.
second? We got, Bob is absent.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix this.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is as they borrow it
Yes. Okay.
December 31st, payback January 2nd.
Does everybody understand where we're at?
Accounting tricks.
I believe we're voting on the amendment, not on the actual
So levy limits.
original motion.
Correct, the amendment of 100,000. Please cast your ballots.
Tiebreak required.
Boy.
God, I gotta write this down.
Motion passes. Motion
I believe
carried.
we have to vote on the motion
Five.
now. This was the vote on the amendment, now we got to vote on the motion.
No.
No,
It's been voted to make it 100. That's what it is.
right. That all you have, Mr. Dorsey?
Yeah, sorry, that was all I have, Your Honor.
Moving on to Board of Public Works, Mr. Barrington.
Your Honor, there was no meeting this month, so we have
Thank you,
nothing
Mr.
to bring to
Barrington.
council tonight.
Move on to Finance and Personnel, Mr. Dorsey.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Finance Personnel Committee met Wednesday, November 3rd at 4:30. Members present were Dorsey, Pache, Barrington, Roberts, and Besaw. Also present was Mayor Mark Herter, Alderman Fred Zog, Bernie Ritchie, Dennis Herter, and Steve Grote. City Administrator Chad Orth, Police Chief Sleater, City Clerk Nicole Lemke, Director of Park and Recreation Ginger Arndt, Finance Director Judy Radke, Library Director Ann Hunt, Museum Director Christine Cross, Building and Zoning Inspector David Vincent, Interim Director of Public Services Luke Hammonds, Rob Way, City Assessor Adam Servey, and Erica Bos, I don't even know how to pronounce that,
Costacalis.
Bostakalis, and Tom Schonover. The meeting was called to order at 4:32. Motion made by Barrington, seconded by Roberts to approve the agenda. Radke was called upon to provide tax levy assessment update. Radke explained the changes to the estimates provided last month due to the decreased evaluation of manufacturing properties in Outagamie County. Radke explained this decrease wiped out the increase in the residential and commercial. Servey explained manufacturing is assessed to have full market value annually by the state. He also summarized that residential market is appreciating at an unprecedented rate, and the state wants to use this method to control that residential appreciation. Servey was available for questions, but there were none. Radke presented the same scenario shared at the last meeting and how they had changed now that the manufacturing assessments were received. She referred to the options in the packet, tax levy of $3,795,200 with no short-term borrowing, tax levy of $3,845,200 with a $50,000 short-term borrowing, and a tax levy of $3,895,200 with $100,000 in short-term borrowing. Radke explained if the short-term borrowing was leveraged, it would allow the city to take advantage of a larger allowable percentage increase in the expenditure restraint and still qualify for that payment. After discussing the options, a motion was made by Faché, seconded by Dorsey, to recommend to council a tax levy of $3,895,200 with $100,000 in short-term borrowing. Motion failed 5-5. A motion was made by Roberts and seconded by Besaw to recommend to council a tax levy of $3,795,200 with no short-term borrowing. Motion failed 3-7. A motion was made by Dorsey and seconded by Barrington to recommend to council a tax levy of $3,845,200 with a $50,000 short-term borrowing. Motion carried 7-3. Finance Director Radke reviewed the monthly financial reports. Financial Director report was discussed. There being no public comment or further business, a motion was made by Roberts, seconded by Faché, to adjourn at 5:38. The next regularly scheduled Finance Committee meeting will be held in the council chambers on December 8th at 4:30. I'd like to consider waiving the rules to adopt an ordinance upon one reading.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to consider waiving the rules to adopt an ordinance upon one reading. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried 10-0.
For approval of the license
Hold on,
list.
hold on.
Oh,
So what you guys just did with the $100,000 in borrowing affects this ordinance adoption of the 2020 budget. So Judy, if you wouldn't mind, I wanted to come up, but we just got to talk this out, so we're,
I was wondering that, when we
Yes.
just did change it.
So Earl, we're going to kind of lean on you a little bit. I mean, if we're going to be changing this adoption of the 2020 city budget, I mean, can we amend that at this point to include the $100,000 in borrowing that was just approved? We're gonna have to go back and look at those resolutions, come back to that, but I mean, the $100,000 does affect this.
Right, so what would have to happen is the ordinance would have to be amended to include $50,000 in the debt service line item, and then also add $50,000 to the general fund tax levy.
So back up, make an amendment, make a motion to amend accordingly. So we go back up to the approval of the general fund tax levy?
Yes.
Yep.
So,
So
Mr.
I'll
Chairman.
make an amendment along the language that Judy just used.
Yes, on the,
So that would still be you, Mr. Dorsey.
So I'd look for approval of the general fund tax levy of $3,895,200.
With an amendment.
Judy can restate
That would
it.
include the amended dollar amount that added $50,000 to the levy.
Okay.
I'll second
the
that.
chairman, so you're making the motion, so otherwise, yeah.
A motion's been made and seconded by Mr. Zog.
To amend the motion to reflect those changes to the.
Correct.
Yep. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots.
Did that happen again?
He
There you go.
too
Mr.
quick with
Dorsey?
fingers.
Working on it.
Okay. Motion carried, 7-3.
Then I need to
Thank you.
do the debt service limits too, right, Judy?
No, we're
Yeah.
still on considering waiving the rules, right?
No, that has passed.
That's
Oh, that we did pass it, okay.
Well, no, but if we did the general levy, then we gotta approve the debt services for another 50,000, then I gotta do the last one to amount to 100,000 instead of 50,000, right?
I thought that was all in your amendment. I thought,
That's the deal.
Correct, I mentioned both of those
Oh, okay,
increases.
so we're good,
Yep.
okay.
Yep, we'll make sure that the verbiage indicates that.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
All right, Mr. Dorsey. Line item 3.
I need a, ordinance to adopt the 2022 city budget.
Second.
And that includes the $50,000
With the-
increase.
With the $50,000 extra.
So the ordinance to adopt the 2022 city budget with the amendment has been made and seconded by Mr. Zog, correct? Zog got second?
I seconded it.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Zog?
It didn't go through. Just keep pushing it, this doesn't work.
Motion carried, 8-2.
I look for approval of the license list as submitted.
Motion been made and seconded for approval of the license list. Any further discussion? Hold on.
Sorry.
Clerk is catching up. All right, please cast your ballots. Mr. Besaw.
Approval of the license list.
Motion carried, 10-0.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Dorsey. Moving right along to Park and Recreation, Mr. Besaw, you're up.
Park and Rec Committee met on Tuesday, November 2nd. Meeting was called to order at 4:45. Motion was made by Zog and seconded by Ritchie to move to approve the agenda. Motion was carried by all. Public comment relevant items on the agenda, there was none presented. A hat and wall discussion, Director Arndt, Superintendent Hammond, and a representative from Holton Brothers Incorporated took time to inspect the wall to decide what areas would need to be repaired and what would have the most visual impact for the money spent. With that being said, it was decided that the main focus of the Hatton Park Wall project will be along the Warner Allen Boulevard and Jennings Street. The committee reviewed the proposal provided by Holton Brothers Incorporated contractors that indicated 4 spots in need of repair. In order to keep the historical integrity of the wall and to save money, all the stone will be reused and maintained to rebuild those portions. The cost to repair and build one of the large sections is a 40-foot-long section off Warner Allen Boulevard across from the intermediate school. The cost is $43,850 and will be placed on the capital project budget list for discussion. The remaining wall construction will be reviewed at a later time. No motion was made at this time. An update on the Newton Blackmore Trail project. At the previous meeting, the committee members approved an agreement with Attorney John Barda to create legal documents and to begin negotiations for the development of the Newton Blackmore Trail Extension Project. The CDBG requires that construction must occur before December 31st, 2021. In order to follow this requirement, the city will remove the section of unused track on the most eastern end of the project site. Engineers have prepared bid specifications with a bid opening November 12th, 2021. This will require holding a special Parks and Recreation Committee City Council meeting to be held in November. Attorney Barda has prepared a memo to present to Canadian National to inform them of the project status and reminding them of the track agreement for the development of the trail. No motion was made at this time. 2022 wage schedule. Ginger Arndt presented the 2022 part-time seasonal staff wage schedule, which is based off the 2022 operating budget with an annual 50-cent increase for all seasonal staff. There will be no further changes from the 2021 schedule at this time. Alderman Zog and Fache moved to approve the 2022 part-time seasonal staff wage schedule. Motion was carried by all. that will be brought to council. Old boat launch dock discussion. As requested after the October Parks and Recreation Committee meeting, Superintendent Hammonds inspected and chose 4 of the best docks and gathered quoting prices, material needed to refurbish and reuse the docks by the River Trail gazebo, with the intention of paving the lot and extending trailer parking for the Riverside boat launch for overflow parking. The committee reviewed options for deck replacement and purchasing new hardware, and it was agreed upon to sell all docks before the winter season has sealed bids. All sales go back into the boat launch fund. Alderman Zog made the motion. Ritchie Jr. approved to authorize city to sell all docks as a sealed bid. Motion was carried by all. Director's report and memo. Director's memo was included in the agenda packet and reviewed by the committee. Chairman's report, there was none presented. Committee members' report, none presented. Future agenda items, start times for all committee meetings, Newton Blackmore Trail Project discussion, and confirm next month's meeting date. Special Parks and Recreational Committee Council meeting, tentative 11/15/2021 or 11/16/2021. Time to be determined. Regular scheduled Parks and Recreational Committee meetings, Tuesday, December 7th, 2021 at 4:45 or with time agreed upon with council. Being no further motion, motion was made by Ritchie, seconded by Grote, to move to adjourn. We adjourned at 5:36. Motion was carried by all. We look for consider an ordinance amending municipal code 9.126, city boat launch fee, second reading.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded by Mr. Dorsey to consider an ordinance amending municipal code 9.126, city boat launch fee, second reading. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried by all.
And I look for approval of the 2022 part-time seasonal staff wage schedule.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded by Mr. Grote to approve the 2022 part-time seasonal staff wage schedule. Any further discussion? With none, please cast your ballots. Motion carried by all. Is that all you have, Mr. Bissell?
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Perfect. Can you carry us right through the Planning Commission?
Thank you, Your Honor. Planning Commission met on Thursday, October 28th. The meeting was called to order at 5 o'clock. A motion was made by Gabbert to adopt the agenda and seconded by Steingraber, carried by all. The September 15th, 2021 minutes were reviewed, and a motion was made to accept the minutes by Bessett and seconded by Gabbert, carried by all. The zoning administrator explained a request for a picket fence located in the front yard at 327 North Shawano and provided a drawing showing the proposed location. A motion was made by Gabbert and seconded by Bassett to approve the installation of the fence based on the location provided. The motion was carried by all. Eric Fowler from Cedar Corporation updated the commission on the comprehensive plan land use proposal. Some interaction and dialogue from the members present was discussed, but the consensus was we were moving in the right direction. Cedar Corporation will continue to move the project forward and plan on attending a future meeting to discuss and provide progress. The next item on the agenda was to further discuss possible adoption with amendments for the 2015 IPMC International Property Maintenance Code. The zoning administrator provided some language to clarify what we want our junk ordinance to reflect. The group felt that adopting the code was the direction we would be moving and to take up the process of possible amendments chapter by chapter. We will devote time in the forthcoming meetings as time permits to move the progress or the process forward. The zoning administrator will compile suggestions and comments throughout the process to allow the board to come up to a consensus on how we want to form the code to fit the city's overall plan. A motion was made to adjourn by Gabbert, second by Steingraber. Motion was carried by all. Meeting was adjourned at 6:05. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Bissell. Get yourself a quick drink. We'll be back soon.
Okay.
All right, moving along to economic development, Mr. Dorsey.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Economic Development Committee meeting met Tuesday, October 26th. Members present were Dorsey, Bishop, Verche, Kapitsky, Wolf, and Zog. Excused Lathrop, absent Thompson. Others present were Mayor Mark Herger, Tim Roberts, Steve Grote, City Administrator Chad Horth, and Jeff Hanschke. The meeting was called to order at 4:30. Zog, Wolf approved the agenda, carried by all. The September 28th, 2021 minutes were reviewed and approved by Kapitsky and Zog, carried by all. Horth reported that he and Kapitsky recently visited with business owners on North Water Street. The 2024 downtown restructuring project, as well as the building facade improvement program, was discussed. Input from business owners was collected and shared at the meeting. Horth provided information on the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation training he attended, titled Main Street First Impressions Workshop in Waiwega. The workshop invited professionals from all around the area to collaborate and provide the host community ideals to enhance the look of their Main Street. Horth stated that he asked the WEDC staff to consider New London as a potential host community for a future workshop. Wolf provided information about a business speaker she recently saw with the school's DECA program and provided a suggestion to invite the speaker to present to the New London business community. This sparked conversation if local business owners would attend a training like this and if businesses would pay for a speaker. Kapitsky stated that the chamber partners with SBDC to provide free training, and they struggled to get local businesses to participate. Some agreed that it would seem difficult to get businesses to pay for a speaking engagement. Other concerns were raised about who would organize these types of trainings or finance them. It was suggested to ask the school's DECA program to see if the group would like to work on an annual or semi-annual project to hold training sessions for business owners. Kapitsky stated that she is trying to bring this particular speaker to a future chamber banquet. The Chamber Director Business Report. The Christopher and De Leon Law Firm has closed their downtown London office for the time being, as the attorney is focusing on the Milwaukee market right now, but is interested in circling back to this in the spring to consider reopening the office in New London. Kapitsky is working with 2 new business owners who are interested in investing in vacant commercial buildings. Percy's Pro Shop, operated by DECA, is having a ribbon cutting at New London High School for their new storefront November 3rd. Northern Ballet Boutique is having a ribbon cutting for the first year in operation on November 19th. The City Administrator's Report. Horth provided an update to the hiring process for the video and marketing producer position. The 2 candidates have been invited for second interviews with staff. Background and reference checks will begin in the near future. The Joint Review Board approved TID number 5 for the downtown project on October 19th. On Wednesday, October 27th, London will host the Wapaka County Economic Development Corporation's monthly meeting. The committee reviewed speakers and agenda items for future meetings. Roberts informed the committee that the ATV Club asked if the Newton Blackmore Trail would be open to ATV traffic. Horth stated that he recalls a lot of discussion about ATV usage when Outagamie County opened up the trail, and it was decided at that time not to allow ATVs on the trail. Outagamie County manages and has jurisdiction over the trail outside city limits. It was stated that the ATV Club would also like to see the city expand daily hours of use and open ATV routes year-round. That topic is anticipated to be placed on a future Board of Public Works agenda for discussion. Public input. Jeff Hanschke provided suggestions for creating some kind of boardwalk in the downtown river alley so riverfront businesses could capitalize on the river more. Additional discussion took place on trying to attract a small engine repair sales business as well as a ATV, UTV sales and service business. The next committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, November 30th, 2021 at 4:30. Kapitsky and Verche move to adjourn at 5:32. And that is all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Dorsey. Continuing on to Capital Equipment and Projects Committee, Mr. Beasaw, you're up.
Thank you, Your Honor. Capital Equipment and Projects Committee meeting met on Wednesday, November 3rd. The meeting was called to order at 5:45. Barrington Dorsey to adopt agenda, carried 10-0. Radke was called upon to review the 2022-2031 capital equipment and project schedule. Radke said the city staff department heads met to discuss priority needs on the list they may have to be bid out of order prior to 2022. Nothing can be paid until 2022. For the best interest of the city due to pricing or lead times, the remaining items will be discussed in February. Radke said a priority item was the replacement of the 2008 Volvo front end loader number 215, new front plow and additional wing. Chad Harth stated that this quote was without any trade-in or resale of existing vehicle. Dennis Herder, Bernie Ritchie to replace the front end loader at estimated cost of $225,000. Motion was carried by all. Radke highlighted the remaining recommendations by staff for priority items, but stated council or committee could state their priority items as well. The following motions were made. Zog made the motion, Robert second, to replace the 1-ton garbage truck, Parks number 210, 1991, an estimated cost of $34,000. Motion was carried 10-0. Zog made the motion, Herder seconded, to replace 2 police cars at an estimated cost of $88,000. Motion carried 10-0. Dorsey made the motion, Zog seconded, to approve the fire department's apparatus room, no skid flooring at an estimated cost of $30,000. Motion carried 9-0 with Ritchie abstaining. Herder made the motion, Zog seconded, to approve the street and sidewalk patching programs for $25,000 each, $50,000 total. Carried 10-0. Pache asked for more information on the requested funds for the building inspection department. Vincent stated that the comp plan has to be updated, $18,600, and that the other cost, $28,530, is for a software system. Vincent stated the record retention for the department is bad and that there is historical data missing. Vincent stated the proposed software would track permits, attachments, pictures, and enable him to create notices with templates. Vincent said he is familiar with the software from his last job, and the software would allow him to do all aspects of his job more efficiently. There was a discussion on the next meeting of the next Capital Equipment and Projects Committee, and it was determined it will be on February 2nd, immediately following the Finance meeting. Dorsey made the motion, Barrington second to adjourn, passed unanimously. Meeting adjourned at 6:15. I would ask council to approve the replacing of the 1-ton garbage truck, Parks number 210, 1991, at an estimated cost of $34,000.
Second.
Motion been made by, and seconded by Mr. Zog for consider replacing 1-ton garbage truck at an estimated cost of $34,000. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried by all.
I would ask for the council's approval to replace 2 police cars at an estimated cost of $88,000.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded by Mr. Barrington to consider replacing 2 police cars at an estimated cost of $88,000. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried 10-0.
I would ask for council's approval to approve the fire department apparatus room, no skid flooring at an estimated cost of $30,000.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded by Mr. Herter for approval of the fire department no-skid flooring at an estimated cost of $30,000.
Now I gotta abstain on that, right?
Correct. Please cast your ballots. Motion carried, 9 and 1 abstain.
That would be very, very much appreciated by the fire department. And that'd make a motion, or look for a motion to approve the street and sidewalk patching programs for $25,000 each, equaling $50,000 total.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded by Mr. Barrington for approval of street and sidewalk patching program funding of $50,000. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried, 10-0.
And I believe I have to ask for a motion for the replacement of the Volvo? Or that doesn't have to be done?
I just noticed we missed it as an action item, so we'll just put that as on the special meeting next week. So it was just missed as an action item, so
Okay.
we'll do that next time. No big deal.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Barrington, or Mr. Barrington, Mr. Beesoff. All right, moving on to minutes and reports. Will stand as read in your packets. Continuing on, reports of officers and recent events and announcements to the public. We'll start off with the mayor's report. I will make my appointment to the Economic Development with Mr. John Pass. And that does not need council approval, so that's a mayoral appointment. Then with that said, I'd like to first thank all the veterans, and to all the veteran branches, thank you for your sacrifice, your bravery, and the example you set for us all. In short, thank you for your service. To all those who have served and those who have continued to serve, happy Veterans Day from myself and the city of New London. I'd also like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And lastly, I would like to wish all the hunters a safe and successful season. Thank you. We'll move on to City Administrator, Mr. Hurth.
Thank you, Honor. Just a lot of things going in the office. Not really a lot of things to highlight yet, but a bunch of communication with businesses and developers over the last month. We know we've got a lot of different residential developments going on, but I'm also excited to welcome Gardan Manufacturing Services. They're out of Hortonville. They just recently purchased the warehouse facility at 415 County Road S. That's right across Highway S, across from the co-op over there. There's a warehouse over there. They intend to expand some of their manufacturing operations in that facility. So again, we're going to welcome Garden Manufacturing Services to the City of New London. And then we're also in the hiring process, like we talked about in some of the committee meeting minutes. 2 key positions. We're just finishing up interviews and background check process for the video and marketing producer position. And we've also just started the process for interviews for our Director of Public Works position. I'm hopeful to have things in place that we can announce those new hires, both of them, at the December council meetings. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Hurth. We'll move right into Utility Manager, Mr. Bessett.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, I'd like to present the payment for taxes to the City of New London from the New London Utilities in the amount of $792,001. New London Utilities is nearing the completion of our GIS mapping conversion of our water system. MSA Engineering is helping us with that. The Utility Commission will be reviewing drawings for Celestial Hills Estates development for the water main at its next meeting, November 16th. Water crews identified a water leak at the middle school on their service right after hydrant flushing. That is going to be scheduled to be repaired on November 11th. Hilker Trucking, the old Simmons property, the electric crews are currently working to remove the overhead, and they're installing that URD at Hilker's request. And I'd also like to report the utilities is no longer injecting fluoride at any of our wells. We do have natural occurring fluoride, so it's not like we aren't getting any, but we were accommodating the DNR's requirement for introducing polyphosphates. So Water Well Solutions will be working with us to change all the chemical feeds to all the wells. And we're hoping to implement the polyphosphates by the spring flushing. The Water Department is finishing up all of our work for the season. Hopefully we'll get all of our patches and curbing done before the snow flies. And then last, I'd like to recognize Mike Frederick for 38 years of service with New London Utilities and Rick Hauk for 6 years of service. That's all I have tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Bassett. Congratulations to them on their service, and I'd like to, on behalf of the city of New London, thank you and the utilities for your generous donation. Thank you. Moving on, Chief Schlueter.
Thank you, Your Honor. We had one anniversary. Earl Ruckdaschel, he left for about 80 days this summer as he retired, but came back as one of our part-time school resource officers. So he completed 31 years of service here in New London. And then, if you want to say fortunate or unfortunate, it sounds like the snow's going to be coming here soon. So I just want to remind everyone, keep your cars off the road at night. Make it easy for everyone to plow. And that way we don't have to issue any tickets. So keep your cars off the road overnight. Thank you much.
Thank you, Mr. Schlueter, and I'd like to congratulate Mr. Ruckdaschel on his years of service as well. And we'll move right along into intern. Well, we're going to skip over that and go to Director of Park and Recreation, Ms. Arndt.
Well, I can give a little report on Luke's behalf,
Perfect,
just
thank
that
you.
they are finishing up leaf and brush pickup. If you notice that you have some neighbors around that do still have some leaf and brush to be picked up, we do encourage them to take that down to the wastewater treatment plant, but we will be making a final sweep after the November 19th deadline. So that's the Public Works side.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then this week, we are starting our fall session of swimming lessons at the Aquatic and Fitness Center. All classes are full, but we do have another session coming in January that will be on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and we're gonna try Sundays for once. So registration will be open for that on November 29th, and you can register by calling the Aquatic and Fitness Center at 982-8524. We are also going to try to start an open swim in Sunday afternoons after that swimming lesson. So that'll be on Sundays from 2:30 to 4 p.m. In the rec world, the registration for our men's basketball and women's volleyball leagues is now open. So we encourage you to get your friends together to get a team for a guys or a ladies night out at the Washington Center gym. And then the Recreation Department is teaming with the Chamber of Commerce to provide the Reindeer Dash along with the Winter Wonderland of Wolf, on the Wolf, Saturday, December 4th. The Chamber of Commerce has a great program ready for the citizens of New London, and we're going to team up with them. It's a short 1-mile dash to downtown, starting at Longevity Nutrition, and then ending just in time to enjoy the parade. So you can call 982-8521 for more details on that and to sign up. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Arndt.
Thank you so much.
Fire Chief, Mr. Wolfer.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, I'd like to thank the council for the quick approval on the non-slip flooring at the fire department. As you're probably all aware, we did have a substantial injury back in September that did require some hospital visit to the ER. So appreciate that very much. Also, I have some service anniversaries. Ted Coppersmith, 6 years, second hire with a total of 17 years. Jake Dishno, 13 years. Tyler Stray, 13 years. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolfer, and I also thank them for their years of service as well. All right. Clerk, do you have any additions?
I just wanted to call attention to the packet. If incumbents do not wish to seek re-election in the spring, they are asked to file a notification of non-candidacy. It's EL Form 163, and that would be due by December 27th. For anyone interested in running for office for the spring 22 election, December 1st is the first day to circulate the nomination papers for signature. Those interested running need to fill out a declaration of candidacy, which is EL Form 162, nomination papers, which is EL 169. Both of those are due on January 4th by 5 p.m. and were included in council packets and available online or in the clerk's office.
Thank you, Clerk. Any other comments? All right, then we will move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion been made and seconded by Mr. Ritchie to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
You're interested in serving in the council.
Mr. Mayor, council members, greetings. My name is Tom Schoonover. Everyone calls me Tommy. I'm interested in being here to serve the community. I think the young man said it pretty articulately. Serving the community is probably number one. You really, once you live here, you kind of are welcomed into the culture here. And you can talk about loving your city or your community or your district, but really it's the action. It's the action that really speaks words louder than anything else. It's the next step.
Thank you. Mr. Grote will lead in the next question.
What visions do you see for the city of New London, or do you have?
Of course I have visions, but it's not a singular vision. It's really all of us. It's teamwork. It's connectivity. New London, it's a contagious ambition for improvement and development. That's what brings us all together to create better tomorrows for the city and its residents. That's important. There's a few things here and there, of course. I mean, everybody probably has an idea of something. But I think, honestly, the vision is to bring everything together, to bring people together, to inspire activity and energy, to maybe interject some ideas, some new ideas. I think that's key, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Roberts.
The city provides a number of services for its residents. Do you have any concerns about these services?
I do not.
Mr. Herter?
What makes you uniquely qualified for the position?
All right, so the final question, uniquely qualified. I'm not a fourth generation. I wasn't born here, wasn't raised here. I chose to be here. In this entire country, which I'm familiar with, I looked at the map and I love World War II history, so New London just stood out like Bastogne. All the major roads lead through here. Before working for Titan, which I've been over a year here in New London now, I was in the wine business, so I oversaw sales and distribution for all of Fox Valley, Sturgeon Bay. I needed somewhere that was accessible to all those areas. New London's got a key on that. I have a background in athletics, so I've already represented the United States. I played basketball in Europe, Paris, Belgium, Brussels, Bruges, Holland. It was quite an exciting event. But to be a young person in that kind of position, you begin early on to learn the responsibility of your decisions, your actions. People are watching you, watching what you do, how you carry yourself. It's important. And again, I think that's what makes me unique, is I'm not a fourth generation. I've chose to be here. I chose to be here today. I think it's also noteworthy to say that just less than 2 years ago, things were different when I ran for alderman. Coronavirus put an end to all meetings like this and debates, so I didn't have a chance to address this council. I still captured over a third of the vote that election. I don't know if some of you, faces have changed. And without the opportunity to speak or to show in action what I could do to capture a third of the vote, I definitely think that's noteworthy. Over 130 people in the district voted for me against Mr. Zog, who's here. So I think that gives me my appearance tonight, a certain legitimacy that you might not find in the other candidates. I'm not here just because the seat's available. I decided years ago that I want to dedicate all my talents to this council and the city.
Thank you, Ms. Schoonover.
Is there a closing? Is that the last one?
Yep.
Well, in closing, I just want to say it the way I heard it said to me, because I feel that I just want to share it. For a man to love something, he's got to be grateful. And I'm grateful for the 2nd District and its residents. I've had the time to sit with former alderpersons and the mayor and reflect on their decisions and the impact that they've had. So I understand what being here tonight's all about. I'm grateful for the 2nd District. And I love the city.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you for your time and good luck.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Mr. John Hass. And sir, would you like to start out with a statement or lead into the questions?
I can just lead into the questions.
Perfect, thank you. Mr. Zog, you're up.
Well, John, tell us about yourself and why you're interested in serving the council.
Well, my name is John Hass. I've been a resident for the city of New London for almost 30 years. I raised my 2 children. They both went to high school. When I was younger, I worked for the city of New London for 3 years at the park department as summer help. For the past 28 years, I worked for the city of Appleton as an equipment operator for the DPW. The Alderman position has always been an interest to me, and I see it as a great opportunity to share my knowledge. I've been involved in the community, serving as board members for the youth softball, baseball, and basketball for many years, also coaching all of them. Now that my kids are grown up and out of the house, I'd like to serve the community in another way.
Thank you.
What visions do you have for the city of New London to see for it?
I want the city of New London to be a great place to live and raise a family, which you can see it is. I believe we need to look for more opportunities to attract and maintain local businesses. I believe we are moving in the right direction. When I started coaching youth sports in 2014, I've seen a huge transformation that has went through the park system here. I don't know how many times we receive great comments on how our parks look and how everything looks. And that'd be my vision, to increase on that and hopefully work on the downtown and maintain some more businesses and attract some more.
Thank you.
The city provides a number of services for its residents. Do you have any concerns about these services or their quality, quantity, cost, efficiency of delivery?
I believe the city does a great job on the services they offer. One area I do see improvement is snow plowing. I mean, through my 28 years of snow plowing, there's more efficient ways sometimes to do things. And the ideas that could be brought to the city to improve the streets in the winter for our residents. I see this as a great opportunity to please our residents, because that is the one thing you hear people complain about is the streets in the winter. And I think that's everywhere.
Thank you. Mr.
What makes you uniquely qualified for this position?
I see myself uniquely qualified position due to the many years of volunteering I've done for the city already through coaching and the youth sports. And I also served as a union steward for the city of Appleton for many years, as well as my 28 years of experience as a municipal worker. This has given me a great deal of knowledge and insight on the daily jobs, functions, to better serve the community. This would make me a valuable asset to the council when making decisions. In closing, I'd like to thank you all for their time and my consideration for the position.
Any further questions? Thank you, Mr. Haas. Good luck. All right, we will, per resolution 1190, written vote by council members who will write their name and their choice of their officer on their slip of paper, and then clerk will collect. We did not get a unanimous.
We didn't get a majority vote, so we eliminate the lowest vote getter, and we'll have a vote of these three candidates.
Which three?
Croy, Schoonover, and Hass. Okay, we again did not get a majority, so we will eliminate the lowest vote getter. So we'll now need to vote between Hass and Croy. Okay. The winner is John Hass.
Congratulations, Mr. Hess. This time, I'd like to thank all the candidates. It takes a lot of courage to get up here and do what you guys did to present to everybody, and I highly encourage that. And I look to see each and every one of your names on the ballot this spring. Thank you. So, Mr. Hess, if you'd come forward.
I, John Hass, who has been elected to the office of Alderman, solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
These are tricky. Push yes. Push no.
I know, right? Sign it.
everybody ready? Move on to line item 7. Or, excuse me, B, ordering by council of special election, spring 2022, and require notices to fill the remainder of the vacant seat, Wisconsin statute 8.50.1 subsection A. We get a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion been made by Ms. Barrington, second by Mr. Herter. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried, 10-0. All right, moving on to standing and special committees. Budget Committee of the Whole, Mr. Dorsey.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Budget Committee of the Whole met Wednesday, October 13th at 4:30 in the council chambers. Members present were Mayor Mark Herter, Robert Besaw, John Frichet, Fred Zog, Mike Barrington, Dave Dorsey, Dennis Herter, Billy Olson, Steve Grote, Bernie Ritchie, and Tim Roberts. Officers present were City Administrator Chad Horth, Police Chief Schleter, City Clerk Nicole Lemke, Director of Parks and Recreation Ginger Arndt, Finance Director Judy Radke, Mapping and Electronic Media Specialist Missy Campton, WWTP Superintendent Ben Gruhl, Museum Director Christine Cross, Library Director Ann Hunt, Building and Zoning Inspector Dave Vincent, and HR Coordinator Jill Moss. Others present was Luann Boya of Associated Financial Group and Michael Berner of WEA Trust. Radke introduced Boya and Berner, who explained the negotiation process and the changes from the prior year respectively for the 2022 health insurance contract with WEA Trust. Boya stated they negotiated significant savings in the part by removing some providers from the network, like Children's in Milwaukee and Medical College of Wisconsin. Berner stated the 2022 benefit offering is very similar, and even though some specialty care providers were removed from the network, there was alternative equivalent care in the plan. Zog and Dennis Herter recommended the council to approve the 2022 health insurance contract with WEA Trust, carried 10-0. City Treasurer / Finance Director Judy Radke explained that two funds feed into the general fund: debt services, the loans the city has, and for the ER-TID Beacon Street cottages, the increment will go into the general fund. Radke reviewed the 2022 budget for debt services account and the environmental remediation TID fund. Hort discussed the 2022 budget for the general fund. Hort said there are little changes from 2021's budget. The tax rate is flat, and approving the budget is approving the 2 to 2.5% wage increase for full-time employees. Roberts asked if it was just a flat increase. Horth explained that there'd be a compensation study and a salary increase was an average. Radke then went through the increases and decreases throughout the budget. The budget documents were gone over page by page with questions and answers regarding the various data and budget request. Radke explained short-term loan option is presented due to restraints on the tax levy and that the debt services up to $100,000 based on estimation would not result in an increase of taxes, and the loan cost for the short-term loan would be under $50. A motion was made by Olson and seconded by Zog to recommend to council approval of the maximum general fund tax levy of $3,895,200 as presented, which would include a short-term loan of $100,000. Carried 9-1. A motion was made by Frichet, seconded by Dorsey, to approve $933,959 maximum debt service levy with a stipulation of no increase to overall taxes. Carried 10-0. Motion was made by Olson and seconded by Grote to recommend to council approval of the ER-TID fund budget as presented. Carried 10-0. Radke discussed the wheel tax fund. Motion was made by Zog and seconded by Herder to recommend to council approval of the wheel tax fund budget as presented. Carried 9-1. Radke to discuss the sewer funds budget. She highlighted the negative net results